You're listening to the Road to Wisdom podcast, weaving stories told by wonderful minds about all things motherhood, health, intimacy, politics, nature, and everything in between.
Join us on an adventure discovering unique experiences that we can learn from to enhance the ways in which we live.
We are your hosts, Chloe
and Kashia. Welcome everyone to the Road to Wisdom podcast. Today we're giving the people what they want. We've got the dads in the studio.
Hello.
Yay. Welcome dads. Welcome Brenton, welcome Toga.
I liked it when you said the dads behind the podcast. That was much better than we've got two toxic males in the studio.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've done this start a few times. But no, these are the dads behind the podcast. I'll say that again because it is very true. The dads that are doing all the supporting for us to be able to create this beast of a podcast.
They've been doing the baby minding and the setup.
Yeah. Toga is the podcast.
Toga is the tech guy. Which I've said that multiple times, haven't I?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, credit where it's owed. But yes, we've had many of you actually message in, DM in, asking for the dads. So
was it Brenton's skincare routine or what was it?
It was.
For? Yeah, okay.
That was actually the most common question.
I need one.
Yeah, it was silly to put a Q&A box up and be like, what do you guys want to ask Brenton and Toga? What scent does he use? How many things can he lift at once? Like, no.
Sure.
But should we answer that really quick just to keep the people happy?
Yeah, I wear husk. It was about me, yeah?
Yeah, it is now. I don't wear anything.
It's just like guys. Natural pheromones.
Yeah, delicious pheromones.
Exactly.
Actually, we've been talking about the pheromones recently because Toga's always apologising for being sweaty after he works out. I'm like, it's okay.
Trust me, it's fine.
That's okay. Note, our sex life has done really well recently. Don't worry about it.
Don't try and mask it.
Yeah.
Just embrace it. Yeah.
Oh, wow, we kicked that to a raunchy start, didn't we?
Should maybe
Do you have a skincare routine?
Do I have a
Do you have a skincare routine that you do?
Haven't you heard our ads before?
I wish you know what? I'm so glad you asked because I do actually.
Insert ad roll.
Yeah, exactly.
That will go through. But no, INBLUEM, I do a little zhuzh.
Perfect.
Very easy, very simple. I'm sweating a lot right now, so I'm probably a little bit more glowy than usual. But INBLUEM, thank you for supporting me.
Okay, guys, we are interrupting this episode today for a quick little game of which phase of your cycle are you in? Kashia's going to guess what phase of the cycle I'm in.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell her if she's right or wrong.
Well, Chloe, you're looking absolutely glowing, so I would only assume that you're in your ovulatory phase.
Wrong. I'm in my follicular phase, which usually I'm not looking so glowy. But I have to say, my religious INBLUEM skincare routine every morning just pumps me up. Like I give a little massage, put a little kakadu plum on. I'm actually addicted to hydrosol. So I swear to God, it can elevate you 100 times. So I love it. Can't live without it.
This is basically all I use on my face at the moment. It is so beautiful, and this is my skincare routine before filming one of these podcasts. So I love it. I'm so excited to be offering all our viewers 15% off when you use the Road to Wisdom at checkout. We will link and put our code in the show notes.
Speaking of natural pheromones though, we did have someone asking about, was there a question about like how you guys met or anything like that? I feel like there was.
Yeah, maybe.
You two or me?
Oh no. Do you know what it was? Okay, so first question. We had in, if you were to meet again.
Oh yeah, that's
If you were to meet us again, what would you do differently with the knowledge you have now? Then
that's it. That was the question. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Good question.
Brenton, you want to go first?
Well, what knowledge? Knowledge that I personally have or knowledge of the other person?
Well, no.
Because you wouldn't have that knowledge, obviously. You wouldn't have that knowledge. Just being a mature,
like you as a man.
grown up.
Like now being the man you are, and if you were to meet Chloe now, what would you put into play that you wish you kind of had those faculties when you guys first met?
Jesus, do you want to go first, bro?
Just an easy one to start.
So are we in our 20s or are we the age we are now?
Yeah.
You're with the wisdom and knowledge you have now.
But we're still
Let's go
fresh. We're
age
still
we
like
are now.
23.
Let's go age
Yeah.
we are now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
I think that's young. Yeah, better.
Go fresh. Yeah, go fresh. When
All
you're shiny-eyed and bushy-tailed.
So what would I have done? I would have said, let's not make Willow vegan for her first 3 years.
No, when you met me, not like parenting regrets. Far out.
well, that's
We can do that later.
just as juicy.
We've got some too, so don't worry.
Not the parenting regrets. Can we like before we became parents?
Yeah.
When we first met and like we were just messy drunks.
Yeah. What we do? I mean, I guess really taking advantage of having no kids. Like, I mean, we surfed every day. We went yoga and everything like that. But I mean, you know, everyone's like, once they have one kid, they're like, oh man, remember how easy it was when you had zero? I think it was like just really celebrating each other when we had no kids and we had the time to do that.
I feel like we did that, mate.
We did it pretty well.
We
but
did
it's,
pretty well.
It's distant past now. So double down on that. What would we do different?
What would you do different? No, but I think the question was more aimed at. Hang on. Excuse me, miss. The question was more aimed at like, so you guys, like, Toga, you met me.
Yep.
And how would you court me now?
So
Instead of just like the 2-week one-night stand we had and then
yeah.
it never ended.
Instead of going to the corner hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think it was more you courting me, wasn't it?
Should we ask you then, Katia? What would you do?
What would I do different? Oh my God, probably would have closed my legs now. I don't know. I would have probably let you court me more. Now that I'm like now listening, look, and it's going to come up a lot in this conversation because I have been listening to the Queen's Code. We're getting Allison Armstrong on in a couple of episodes' time. And just listening to the dynamic between and like interplay between men and women and how like women aren't letting men show up as men. Like we're just not allowing it. And for whatever multitude of reasons that is, and for some really good reasons, but ultimately we're emasculating men by not letting them show up and be like take charge of certain areas. And maybe us meeting was one of those times where I was like a little heavy on the moves. And I could have probably let you take the reins with that.
I don't know. I think it's just part of being young though. And, you know, you wouldn't want our daughters to be any different. Like when they're young, you kind of want them to be able to, they don't need no one else. You know, I think it's as you get more comfortable with your body and who you are that you allow other people to do things for you. And like the system we have at the moment, you know, it was very like, oh no, we both got to work. We both got to look after whatever we had then, the dog. But it's like a man isn't going to like stifle you from wanting to do that because your whole life, you know, you're brought up and like men and women are equal and they need to be able to do everything together. So, I mean, I think it's a hard question because it's not reality. You're a different person when you're 23 compared to 38.
Yeah, I think the answer that you probably wanted was like, oh, I would have stared into your eyes a little bit more.
Wouldn't have changed a thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's the answer, isn't it? Like you wouldn't have changed anything.
Well, you can't because otherwise we wouldn't be where we are and I kind of enjoy where we're at.
Exactly.
So. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, babe?
So.
Well, my first answer was that it is not my answer, but I'll just let you know what it is, was not to have kids so quickly, to get to know each other a little bit more and enjoy each other for longer than 6 months. But at the same time,
Miraculous.
At the same time, we like looking back, we really loved the idea of becoming parents. We were both ready for it, and I loved the idea of becoming a father, and I loved that point in my life. I loved that it was changing and forcing us to grow up. So, you know, that being said, it was great that we had a kid, but also would have been nice just to go surfing every day and have a bit more of had to travel and to get to know each other a bit better before. Being thrown in the deep end, yeah. But there's one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb is I wish I had a little bit more of an aggressive commitment towards my work. I had so many opportunities at that time that I let go because I didn't understand the dynamic of our relationship. I didn't understand, how to lead and how to, kind of, I don't know what the word is, how to kind of assert my stance as, the breadwinner and what I do for a living. And it's not just all fucking, dress ups and curtains. It's meetings, it's flying, it's like, relationships and developing relationships and a lot of reading, a lot of, it's kind of the act behind the curtain is this whole circus that no one really knows, if you're not in the business. And certainly Chloe didn't know. And I kind of, every kid I took time off and, whenever we had a bit of conflict, I would completely withdraw from LA and from that world. Because I didn't know how to say, listen, like I've got meetings for 2 weeks with the heads of Warner Brothers and Disney and and I don't care what you're going through. This is more important for the next 40 years of my life and our family and our, financial life and the opportunities it's going to bring to us and the kids than anything that you're going through right now. But it wasn't. In the moment, it didn't seem like that was important. What was really important was, and this is true as well, was that, Chloe felt safe, she felt secure, that she was looked after, that she felt comfortable, in those stages of pregnancy and birth and, times 5. So knowing what I know now, and I guess now that we're older and Chloe's older, we'd probably approach those kind of pinnacle fork in the road business decisions a little bit differently.
Can I interject here? Because this is part of Allison Armstrong's work, which is really interesting because so she talks about, and I need to look into this a bit more, so sorry if I'm wrong, Allison, but like a man's journey through life, you start off as a knight, where you're in your early 20s and everything's kind of fun and adventure and that is usually when you would meet someone, it's fun, it's adventure, life, your priority is that kind of doing all the crazy things. And then you would move into your prince, which is all about building. And then after that, and again, that's the priority, not saying that fun and adventure stops, but your priority would be more building and building a life and the focus is on that generation. And then you would move into your king, which is all about providing. And because of the situation that you guys are in, it's you almost have to fly through that real fucking fast and not get to, or you had really short stages in amongst each of those. Yeah. So it's when you can put it into that context, it's really interesting to hear that you're essentially oh, I would have just been a king straight away, but can anyone? You'd have to just
for sure,
bypass everything.
And also a lot of, I just knew that, I mean, part of it is because I was successful young, and so I'd been through already 5 years of working with the best of the best in my industry, and it was fantastic. But I, in all the books I'd read on how to be successful and what, with the Ryan Holidays and the, meditations and all these kind of, just that group of, I kind of forget them now, but, listening to Tim Ferris and Joe Rogan and this kind of section of material that is geared to supporting men into being successful financially. And there's just so little mention of how to be present for your family and how to be a good son, a partner, a brother, or whatever. And I just knew that was my priority. And I went too far, I think. I went too far into taking too much time off and, and kind of resenting that decision. And after a while, my mood started to be shit and angry, and because I'd taken time off and I've let go of opportunities and I'd let go of offers that were great and whatever in order to be there for my family. But that decision ultimately was the decision that kind of got me stewing and pissed off and So I think that balance is really important to get. I mean, I'm sure there's some great stuff out there now, but it's just something that I could never find. It was these great men, Churchill and Marcus Aurelius and Ray Dalio, whoever you want to research. Maybe not Ray Dalio. I know he has a good family balance, but there wasn't this. There was never mention of an underlying family balance. Never mention of how a young family, how to be there for a woman as she's, in her years of breeding and like starting a family and how to have a big family if you want a big family and how because you cannot go to work all day every day. And I'm lucky I don't need to, but it's just, I mean, even now I've got so much shit on and I keep getting stressed about like, I got to do work. But it just doesn't, unless you have someone, and this is a big difference with Australia and America. In America, they have nannies. They have this whole team of people that really help raise the kids. But here, our culture is still very much, which I love, still very much, we're raising our kids. I want to raise my kids. You want to raise your kids.
You're doing everything.
We're doing everything, yeah. And maybe too much. Maybe we can outsource a little bit more for help. But I still want to keep that value, as we grow. What are your thoughts on that, bro?
I mean, that's it. You feel like you're being noble and everything like that. You're like putting, the family first. And then like that just kind of sends you down. Like it's so hard. Like everyone with a big family, they're like, okay, we've got the family over here. And then like work just kind of builds up in the background over here. And no matter how much you do on both sides, they're still kind of conflicting against each other.
Yeah. I heard Hugh Jackman say on Tim Ferriss' podcast. I love Hugh Jackman. He's amazing. And listen to a lot of his stuff. And he said that we don't make a decision back in the day. Obviously, him and Deborah, they don't make a decision on work unless it's good for the kids.
Yep.
I wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what's good for the kids is, for me not to go to, Bulgaria for 6 weeks and work for not to, but at the same time, the opposite is true as well.
Yep.
What's good for the kids is for the dad to do whatever it is that dad needs to do to provide for the family.
Yep.
There's a constant balance because in my industry, it's very, like I just got an offer today for tons of money going in February, for 4 weeks, and I could go and do that job and come back, but I decided not to do it. So then the opportunity is gone. And then tomorrow there'll be, so it's very, what do they say about Byron Bay? Transient. Yeah, it's very transient and incoming, and there's, there's not a lot of like gatekeepers, and you kind of have to make these decisions on the fly and very quickly. So that's something that I've always struggled with is just that short term, like decision on where we're going. Because if I go to America or Bulgaria, wherever it is, I've got to talk to Chloe and say, hey, we're now living in Sweden, or we're now living in da-da-da, or like, what are we going to do?
Dominican Republic for
we're doing this job, and it's really exciting. We get a wave of excitement, and then we kind of think, okay, what's best for the kids?
It's not best for the kids.
Maybe it's not best for the kids, but maybe it is. I don't know. That's just
that's a hard balance to strike because like emotional, like right there, you're talking about the emotional like body of your child versus like providing for them on, and you have to, like striking that balance between, okay, well, we don't have a life if I'm not bringing in an income versus like, I don't want to be a, what is it? Distant dad. There is a word that's not coming to my mind, but like trying to strike that balance.
There's so much nuance to it, right?
There's so
because
much
ultimately
nuance.
I could be like, I'm just not going to work. It's just going to be too hard. And then like essentially this kind of like empire that we're building like on our farm and like all these kids and like we want all these things and all the things that just gets reduced. We're like, well, essentially if we don't do something hard and it might not be good for the kids, the bigger picture is like going to be gone. And then we're just going to be essentially left with
Yeah.
something much.
It's like, how often do like these opportunities keep coming around if you're saying no? And it's also like Kashia and I talk about, like, we're way better now than what we were, and I'm not away for as long as you are. Like, I'm away constant, but it might be like 4 days or something. So it's like that. But it's also like knowing it's not forever. It's like, cool, like, yeah, you know, for weddings, March, I'm kind of gone all of March. But also that's not forever, and that's going to set us up for the rest of the year kind of thing. But it is hard in the moment when you're gone and, you know, like Kashia, like, you know, 5 kids at home, losing it. I'm working my ass off and I'm losing it. But you're like, it's not forever. And that's why I think like that whole work-life balance is such a load of shit, because like you can't just be like happy and comfortable all the time, because like you said, you'd never work. And it's just like sometimes
And
it's
then
going
you're
to,
and then you're not happy and comfortable anyway, because like financially, which is like huge in our relationship, when the finances are stressful, that is not good for our kids, because we're just like highly strung and not great. Like, we can't handle kids' emotions. We can't handle like anything extra, and we're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so then that's not good for the kids, because they're constantly around like stressed out, strung out parents. So yeah, it's like, sorry, I cut you off there, but that just came to mind straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, go.
No, I'll finish.
I was going to say, maybe, I don't know what this is like, but I always like, you know, look at tradies or 9-to-5ers or, you know, whatever it is. You know, my neighbour's a builder. He works for himself, you know, Monday to Friday kind of vibes. I always wonder, that would be a different struggle for those men, you know. But I kind of dream sometimes of the consistency of being at home and just having that life that isn't outside your community, and the work balance that really exists, you know, in the one town. It was never for me. It's not my kind of thing. But now with kids, I see the benefit of that and the advantage of that, and how that can, like, within that framework, you can really, like, our biggest asset is like being able to holiday in the off season, and, you know, being able to up and leave whenever we want, and, you know, have a bit more of a option for that. But now that I have kids, I see how great it is to like go on school holidays when it's school holidays, and have a break from work when it's Christmas time.
I think it's kind of like when you get to that realization that people who holiday at resorts actually knew their shit. While we were like,
exactly.
Who would do that? Ew, ew. And you're like, let's get a resort.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
I want pina coladas by a pool, and I don't care if it's chlorinated.
Exactly.
Chuck those kids in there all day, every day.
Yeah.
And earning the break.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
earning that
Earning
Christmas
the
break
break.
and earning that Easter break.
And being able to switch off for that time instead of like never switching off ever.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But I think from our end as well, like we're in that generation that's kind of like blowing up those old paradigms of like, it's not traditional, but it's like you go do your thing. We've also got to work, and there's like all this chaos. It's kind of like we are kind of trying to revert, and it feels like organically reverting back to like women actually just having to hold a certain responsibility a lot better.
Yep.
And the men being able to have that freedom of like, okay, well, you have to do that. And then the dads were kind of, or men in general, like, you're a bad dad if you're not around, or you're like, these modern dads were more glorified. And they were like, the more traditional dad was like essentially creating all this trauma and not investing in their children. It was being present was like the absolute priority. Now it's like, well, actually, maybe that's not true.
Yep.
And maybe we have to hold it down better at home in order to allow that sense of freedom to go and do what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask you, men? And
What
this
do you
wasn't
think
one
of
of our questions, but what does it make you feel when you do go out and like when you're
Nailing
off
in the mission.
modern day hunting, and
Yep.
you come back and you're like, oh, I brought in the money instead of like the carcass.
For me, as long as everything's good at home, really good. If I
Okay.
come home and it's a shit fight, I'm like, fuck it. You know, like,
Like,
but
what was the
seriously,
point in that?
Yeah, exactly. Like you get
Yeah,
home,
okay.
like, fuck, like I've just been away working. And then if the house is a shit fight, and it's like, not talking about like being dirty or anything like that. It's just like, if everyone's stressed and everything, once I get back, it completely takes away from what you've just done for me.
Good to know. Getting the juice.
Date the children when you get to
Yeah, exactly.
We're out of the house and you're
Yeah.
right.
But like how much everything changed when Kashia and I, like when we did like, and you know, feminists or whatever, I'm going to say this is good, but like when Kashia's like, okay, cool, you're going to go out and earn the money and I'm going to stay home and look after the kids. And, you know, we still probably swap, say 20% of the time. It's kind of that 80-20 rule. But like as soon as we kind of agreed to that, it made it so much easier. And I mean, like you guys still have a full-time job with the podcast, but to know like, cool, I'm going out, that guilt of me going to Melbourne or to wherever to work is gone because Kashia's like, no, this is what you have to do. And I'm like, this is what I have to do. And it just made the stress of it go away instead of feeling guilty leaving all the time. Because it's kind of like a contract that we kind of, this is what we're doing. And also coming back to it's not forever, the kids are going to be at school really soon. And then all of a sudden, like we've talked about it, getting a studio space together and then we're at work together, working on things together. And that's only like another 5 years away. And like it's nothing is forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
Brenton, how do you feel?
that's a really cool thing. You guys working together.
Yeah,
on a
it's, I
project in
can't,
the
I can't
same-
wait.
Same space would be fun.
Work,
Yeah,
yoga,
when they're
surf.
older and they're teenagers, they have their life, right? You don't want to be. I imagine that you don't want to be moving around too much. I mean, I think about that with my job. I'm not going to be wanting to, and this is you know partly kind of related to what I was saying before. Is now is the time, if any, to be moving somewhere for 6 months, doing a movie in LA or wherever it is, Toronto or whatever. Now's the time for it because when they're teenagers, it's much. I imagine, and I've heard from friends who have teenagers, it's much harder to pull them out or more destructive, or could be more destructive to pull them out of everything they've got, their friend circles, their extracurricular activities. Once you know they've established them. What was the question again?
The question was, how do you feel when you go out and like
Great.
like
How do I
your
feel when I go
hunting?
out? Great.
Like when you have
A
that
few beers
freedom.
When,
When you have that freedom.
when you're taking on that traditional, and it is a traditional man's role of like going out hunting and then bringing that back.
Or in your case, it's probably more like if we just leave the house all day because you work from home, or like you're like, I'm just going to go to this, or you may not see us for an entire day, and then we get back home for dinner or whatever. And like you've had that freedom, you haven't had to worry about like, oh, what are the kids doing, or like
And
I've got to go entertain them or something.
Essentially, like I feel like the word provided comes to mind.
It's
So-
funny. It's funny because I'm just realizing how what I do is but is so different in the sense that what I'm thinking of is if I, like at the moment, I'm not working / unemployed, but let's go with the first one, choosing to not work and have not worked for a long time. And I've had little sporadic movies here and there, but no big.
Says the musician that just dropped it.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
Very
There's,
single, so-
there's that work, but that's all output. There's no
income.
bringing any deer or anything home. It's me
deer is
going out and
not-
shooting a bunch of shit and going, yeah, I let off 100 rounds today. Missed. I missed all of them. We're all going hungry, but I took the shot. You happy with that, honey? What the fuck? There is a lot of like just taking the shot, you know, as a writer, producer, musician, this, that. But when I'm hitting the shot, when I'm, you know, booking a movie or something, it's what I do. It's a bit more professional. We're all on the road. We're all doing it together. So I feel like I'm not really, we're all kind of going hunting together.
Yeah, okay.
And there's something beautiful about that, but it's also something that's very untraditional in the sense that when I go, one of my values is we all go, you know, and that's kind of, I'm not good when I go by myself. Chloe's great. She tends to, I get home and she's like, we were better than when you were here.
The house is
Fuck, I'll just hit the road again.
The kids are sleeping
everything's
perfectly on
perfect.
time.
Everything's
To be
perfect.
completely honest, so many women can relate to that. I've had this conversation so many times before. Like shit just runs easily because like you're like, okay, they're gone. I've got to get into like militant mode. And like, you know, you don't feel like you have to do things in a certain way. Like, you know, it's just like everything kind of just happens how it happens.
It's
and-
one less schedule that you have to go around, isn't it?
or worry about. And it's not my favorite thing to do, but it just does.
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
And if I have to do it, like we're just doing it.
Yeah. So there's only one boss as well. Like as soon as you're in charge, like I am the boss and they kind of all fall into place. Like I feel like even for a dad, it's easier when I take the kids by myself rather than Kashia and I like, what do you want to do? And then everyone just falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But I think do we clarify how you feel when you provide? Let's just tell the people.
Yeah, tell the
Oh yeah, feeling.
Man.
It's good.
Does it feel different to you? So like obviously the behind the scenes work of like you're saying like there's a lot of networking, there's a lot of meetings, a lot of everything like that. Does that feel different as far as providing goes compared to like when you're landing a role and you're filming? Like I guess, you know, it's all work, but doing that work compared to like all the other stuff to actually land the role, does that feel different?
It does. I guess it is money related, sadly. I wish I could say like, you know, taking a bunch of very productive meetings, pitching a movie to a big producer, having a meeting with a publicist or whatever, or I wish I could say that feels like providing, but it's not. It's fun. It's like, you know, the side of making a movie that I love. But the providing side of things is going to a set, earning your money and coming home. And that feels great. And it feels great to do that in an industry that I've always wanted to do. And it's my, you know, favorite thing to do. And it's a fun thing. But the other side of things, and this is why like I'm getting into producing and writing and directing, is that it's hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And there's no two ways around it. It's
sorry, the acting side or the producing? And writing
the producing side. Like acting is it's really hard to get a job. It's really hard when you're not working.
Yep.
The job starts, you've got to audition constantly and miss out and go through the rejection and even now. But it's not as challenging, maybe because I've done it and I'm more experienced in it. But the other side of things, you know, thinking of an idea, that idea could be a great movie and it would, you know, give this to humanity and and it would, you know, all these kind of things. Let's go out with that idea and having everyone say that's the shittest idea I've ever heard. And then going to the next person and going, how about this? It's you know, terrible.
Shooting deer. Yeah.
Yeah. You're the deer. You're the deer getting shot. You know?
Idea.
Yeah.
Dad pun. Done.
idea.
You put that visual.
That's the challenge of it, and that's what makes me feel the best.
Yep.
So I've had a day where close, like out with the kids, killing it, having a great day, and in the morning I've got meetings. I'm writing. I'm, you know, being productive in that sense of like 5 years from now, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to have a few movies out. I'll have my production company established. That makes me feel the best.
Yeah.
You know, whereas doing a movie, acting on it is, you know, is more of like the day job. You know.
Yeah. Is it just been there, done that? Do you think?
Maybe just when I read a great script, it's like super exciting and it still comes up. It's still like that feeling of like, oh wow, I'm going to be, you know, working with these people but maybe it's just a bit of a lull.
It's funny that you say that though, because you just said that sometimes you dream of that 9 to 5 thing. And essentially when we are on set, you are on set or we're somewhere, we actually have to create that lifestyle. And that's essentially what you're doing. It's like off to work, kids, for the day, and you get home and like there'll be a couple of night shoots or something in there. But essentially like you actually get to do the 9 to 5 thing. And it's interesting that you're like, it's actually a bit of a like lull.
Yep.
Yeah. We have had great days where I've, you know, had a couple of great scenes, worked all day. You've had a great day with the kids.
But then there's days where we've literally packed our bags in the middle of the night and bailed to Spain.
That's true.
That's true.
And then flew back because I didn't want to get sued by Warner Brothers.
Okay, I'm going to spin this around because I can. And
we know you want to make it spicy or something.
Yeah. So I was going to go straight to the balls questions.
No.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about building testosterone?
Yep.
And how, like, thoughts on ejaculation versus non-ejaculation.
Yep.
And
are you really asking that?
Yeah, because it was a question. It was said, thanks, mate. It was worded as nut or no nut.
Yeah. Nut or no nut.
Yeah, nut or
Jeez, mate,
to nut or no nut.
Can I pass to you for this one?
Yeah,
I'll just jam on your answer.
Yeah. I'm super open to building testosterone, more as like for like with the larger family too. We've gone back like even just like anger management. Like as soon as I'm working out or I'm running or doing something like that, the amount of shit I can put up with the kids is so much higher. Like if I'm not, it's so noticeable where, you know, everyone's like, look after yourself first and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, we got 5 kids. But like if you can take 15, 20 minutes and actually like do a solid workout or do something, that changes the whole dynamic of the family. So I think, yeah, definitely like I'm always looking for ways to kind of, I think because that's the biggest issue, isn't it? Like with, God, flies. With,
Do you catch that?
no, definitely not.
Look like it.
Missed the
It
argument.
really looked like it.
Is like, I guess men, you know, 38, I think, you know, testosterone starts falling off as of 30, I'm pretty sure it is. So like I'm very, very aware of that. And like you look at, you know, parental figures and everything like that. And you look at guys who are 60 and there's the 60-year-old that you want to be, or there's a 60-year-old where, oh, you're nearly dead. And I'm like, I definitely don't want to be that person. I want to be the best I've ever been when I'm 50, 60. And that's the same with like talking about ejaculation and everything. Like the difference between, you know, when we first meet each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, cool. Every time you have sex, you're coming, and then like you just, yeah, awesome, cool, feels great. But like the difference between having sex and not coming, how much better your energy levels and your mood and everything goes, and you don't even notice that until, you know, you do like a month, and then you do come and you feel like you're hungover for 3 days.
Yeah.
It's like you really notice how much difference that plays. So yeah, I'm like a massive proponent for that.
Do you track your testosterone, and what are ways that you feel build testosterone?
I don't. So this is all hypothetical, but it's just
But
more
it's
so
a feeling. It's a
more
gut
so,
feeling. Like,
yeah, it's
like
definitely
patience, like a clarity, mental, whatever. And
yeah, definitely. Like honestly, I think women are so much better than men at dealing with the kids' noises and screams and everything like that. If haven't worked out for a while and you know we've had sex and like I can't deal with it at all. Whereas if I am like working out and like constantly trying to do like I don't have time. I got like 30 minutes a day. I'm like, cool, I've got some kettlebells out there. I'll do 30 minutes and just get the shit done. But the difference between trying to do that and maximize those levels, I haven't ever checked if they rise or fall. But just practicing those things, it's more so just like, as bad as it sounds, just being able to tolerate the hard parts in life.
right, stress management, recovery, like things like that. Right, like stress. I was talking to my mate Paul Price, who has a company called Inspired Peak Performance, which is he basically is a coach for athletes and CEOs and whatever. And he was a professional squash player, and we were having a chat about stress management. And I was saying, I work out, like completely destroy my body.
Yep.
No self-love, no like thought about recovery, just want to fucking die.
Yeah.
Like love CrossFit, love running until I can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff. And it's just
True.
for
I
my
saw him
head.
on the way home. So running, like, I was like, you need a lift? He's like, no. And comes in limping, got to go to physio. I'm like,
I needed a lift, but fuck no, I'm not getting one. Not getting one.
Should I make it up the hill?
Limping up the hill. And he was saying, like, if you're really stressed with work, that's an element of stress. If you're really stressed, and if you have another really stressful workout, that's going to deplete you more.
Yep.
Like if you're not stressed with work and you're on a holiday or something, maybe you can chew off a little bit more working out and stress, you know, add a little bit more physical stress. Basically, like stress is stress, and instead of it being linear, it stacks on top of each other. And I think that, like, moving on for me, finding a way to, maybe it relates to testosterone or not, I'm not sure, but finding a way to just be a little bit more aware of how much stress I have with relationship, work, kids, and how that relates to training and, you know, physical stuff.
Yeah. I find like if you haven't worked out for ages and then you start working out, like I'm going to get sick quicker as well until you're kind of doing it for that amount of time. Like at the moment, it's been like pretty much 5 months now, but it's like the first month I was definitely like getting run down way quicker and everything like that. But then you kind of, I guess, build through that.
Yeah.
I think, like, looking back actually at a couple of our podcasts, so we spoke with John Gray. You've listened, haven't you, husband? Yep. Good. But his work is about testosterone and like building testosterone, and obviously non-ejaculation is one way to do that. But he spoke about going to the gym and guys that would completely deplete their testosterone levels because they're pushing themselves way too hard. So there's like a sweet spot of
overdoing it.
Balance. Yeah. So like you'll maintain peak levels of testosterone. Working out helps you build testosterone, but too much will start depleting it. And I guess that probably goes with everything. But also, when we spoke to Taylor Clark Johnson, who's a sex therapist or sex coach, and it's a great episode, so go back and listen to that. But he was speaking on like testing his own testosterone levels, and because he was like, how do I build my testosterone levels? Like, this is what everyone's talking about. Definitely paraphrasing there. And he did all these things to like try and build up his testosterone levels and got his bloods taken again.
Yeah.
And his testosterone levels like didn't change. And he did all the things that are meant to build your testosterone levels, but then his cortisol levels had like significantly decreased.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, I'm feeling so good. My testosterone must be so high. But it was all
Just all
his
stress levels.
cortisol. Yeah. That had just like dropped off completely. So
What does that mean? Sorry.
so cortisol.
So his stress
his
got
stress
less.
levels. Yeah,
Not testosterone got.
No, so
Okay.
his testosterone remained the same, but his stress was improved significantly by doing all these things that said to build your testosterone. So which I also found quite interesting.
Yeah. Had you have said you're going to lessen your stress, he would have said, nah, not doing that, mate.
No, I want to build my
But
testosterone.
I want to build my testosterone. Do that? No worries. The exact same stuff? Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's probably how you get me too, to be honest. Like, I have 100 coffees a day. Like, don't drink a lot of water. But if someone said, probably if I heard it on Joe Rogan.
Your cough will be harder if you do all these things. You'll do it.
Do all these things, drink heaps of water. Like, don't drink so much coffee. For testosterone? Yeah. Sure. It's funny.
But no, it's really interesting. Anyway, but on Toga's regime, like the things that you did for yourself in that time improved our entire like home dynamic so much as well. And I think
What were they? Like, was there any like specific regime?
Can you tell where
No,
we're at?
it's not. It's not.
Or just a mentality or like a...
Definitely getting up before the kids helps me crazy because like I hate getting up in the morning and like straight away Poet's like, I'm hungry, and I'm like, oh, like I didn't get any time, you know. So like if I'm up an hour before them and I can kind of do a workout before the kids get up, that's amazing because it's just
That's the recipe for just a good day, right?
is, it
Like
is.
getting up
yeah.
early and getting your shit done before,
Just quiet. Like honestly, it's just having quiet time to do your own thing, and it kind of just brings you back to like being pre-kids. Like this is what you used to do. You go for a workout. You kind of had that time to kind of just have, that space in your brain, because as soon as it's like kind of kids like ba 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 ba, and he's like, there's no room for anything else.
But I think like what happened too in that time is that when you started looking after yourself and reducing your own stress, like we found, and it all kind of came together. Like our sex life got dramatically better. Our finances got dramatically better. Like a whole bunch of stress kind of.
Because you were doing
decrease.
porn and selling it.
Exactly.
Yes,
My
that's
toes are
exactly
everywhere.
right. No, but it
Hitting
used
two
to,
birds with one stone.
there's so many.
I put a bag over my head so no one knows.
I was just knitting. But you speak to like Kim Anami, who, promotes like an improved libido and an improved sex life is going to improve your finances. And like definitely everything flows, I reckon. Once you hit one of those nails on the head, and like a couple of them kind of flow on, and then you just get to this sweet spot. But like a massive thing that I found like and experienced personally was how much more generous you were towards me as well once you felt topped up.
Yeah.
And like, because I'm so bad at asking for help or like receiving any help when we're in that like super stressed out state. But like, you'll just be like, oh, booked your massage. Like, what? You did? And then that like keeps topping up that whole like relationship's better, and it just like has this massive flow on effect. And was awesome. So,
But it also just feels like it peaks and troughs
yeah.
naturally regardless.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're having this epic time, sure, in like 3 months, you're going to be shitty at each other. And it doesn't feel like you can't keep that up forever. Like you're cool, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do this and feel it topped up. Like you're still going to feel like shit in 3 months. It kind of just,
but
waves anyway.
It's
Because
not so
pull
much
yourself
that.
out of it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, the dog gets a tick and like, you know, like other stresses that you have no control over are going to come and like impact that flow. But when we get into a sweet spot, it's pretty sweet.
It's good.
On that, what do you guys do? Oh, wait, no. I'll ask another one.
I don't know where
Okay.
you're going anymore.
Oh, no, because I feel like we kind of answered that. I was going to say, like, what do you guys do to handle your own stress? No, we actually had a question come in that was someone who wanted to know about how you relate with your children and when, like more so bonding wise. So she was speaking on behalf of her husband who hasn't felt a great bond with their child. And so when did you guys
How
start
old's
to feel
the kid?
16 months.
Yeah, okay.
16 or 18 months.
Yep.
Yeah. And she feels that there's a lot of like external forces that have impacted that. But for you guys, when was it that you felt bonded to your baby's children? And and how did you feel about that?
Do you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, like Margot now 7 months.
Yeah.
100% bonded. You're like, you know, but no, seriously, like,
Yeah.
I think there's that stage where babies are really young and it's like, oh, I may as well not be here. Like, seriously, like, yeah, it's just like a baby. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're so cute. I'm like, meh. So but like, they give the dad nothing, you know? And it's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 months when Margot actually starts looking happy to hang out with me and more so when I can actually start taking her, you know, exclusively breastfed. I'm like, now I'm kind of like, cool, I can take her for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And just having that time away from mum, you get so bonded straight away. But that's also coming back to like, cool, if you're a tradie and you're gone 9 to 5 and your baby's asleep by 6, like good luck bonding.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a completely different thing. Like you said, like our workflow, like it has its advantages and disadvantages where like we're home with the family a lot. We're stressed and we might be somewhere else all the time as well, but we spend a lot of time with our kids. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I've never had any, as bad as it sounds, we've never had any issues bonding with the kids. Like we, you know, with Willow, it was straight away. I was walking around with her, getting out, doing stuff with her. And I think as it gets more and more, the kids kind of just want to hang out with the other kids too. So they just want to kind of do what dad's doing. If dad's taking the kids, it's like, I want to come along as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
I think the word bonding may be tripping people up. Like, what does that mean? What does bonding mean? I think the way I see it is, do I do a lot of things with the kids? And yeah, I do. And maybe that's the way to bond.
Or like building connection with your kid. Is
Yeah,
probably
I
a
mean, I
different way
think
to look
through
at it.
yes,
When do
building
you like your kids?
building have I built connection with the kid? Well, have I done things with the kid? You know, have I, like, if I just move the word over to an action word, a doing word, like did I, and that's maybe the answer to doing that is to do more with your kid, spend more time with the kid.
And probably without mum.
Yeah, probably without mum. Yeah. I mean, I'm
Or with or without.
I'm struggling to connect with Banjo, our
do you mean,
2-year-old, and
Oh.
Ollie. Just because there's 3 twits in line that just he's the 4th twit in line. He
Loved it.
He's not getting shit. You know?
I don't see that at all though.
You know,
'cause I feel
Banjo is like-
Banjo always wants to do things with you and always wants to do what you're doing.
Yeah, he wants to, and I want to do things with him too. But it's just in the melee and the chaos of our world, it's just impossible.
Yeah, but I wouldn't
to,
say that you're not bonded.
It's
with
not
him.
impossible.
Like you have a connection with him.
Well, yes. Okay, you want to answer the question?
No, this is purely just by what I see. Like you don't know.
Okay, you see a different thing, and I mean the connection maybe is a different thing, but the way to I think, like on what you were saying, the way to get more bonded, more connected, more whatever from your kid, like build a relationship, is to spend time with that kid, and the more kids you have, the harder it is. But we have a thing called special time where we haven't done it in a long time, but we used to take just the one kid with the one parent for whatever it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, even 10 minutes, 20
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah.
like a walk in the park, whatever it is. and we don't do it so much anymore because we're busy. But
There's
that's
2 of us and 5 of them.
Yes.
we should
That's
return
like 50
to that.
minutes. Like,
everyone-
if
Yeah,
you
it's
take
not a lot,
each
just-
child for 10 minutes,
minutes.
like that's still an hour.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
an hour is gone.
Or just find one time a week with every kid where
Yep.
you just just to go get them for coffee,
Yeah,
have a
exactly.
hot chocolate, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We were doing that for a while, and it was really good. And it it
Fills
was
their cup
it was it fills their cup, fills your cup. We probably got to return to that. I think.
But I think it's hard for a dad to bond with a baby if they are raising the baby the way we are, and you're the same. It's like we co-sleep, breastfeed,
Yep.
and there's no real other input. It's like there's no bottles to be given. There's no like things to soothe this baby, and like they don't really want to be with anybody but their mum. So it is that is always going to be.
But that being said, everywhere I go, I see dads with their babies.
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like it's so common now for a dad in the morning
Yeah.
to strap on a baby and go for a walk. Like
Talk about testosterone levels. That's one way to really deplete your testosterone.
what?
Hanging out with the kids all day.
Yeah, like dads with kids. So if you're feeling stressed and like overwhelmed, like being with your kids increases your estrogen levels. So,
Well, I don't know if
Super
I
interesting.
can believe that.
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Even if it's
please.
true, I'll battle with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you feel topped up after
I
hanging
just
with
love
kids.
spending time with my kids.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so
Oh.
much fun and, whatever. But at the same time,
But like your energy levels or like your testosterone at the end of the day, full day.
well,
taking
energy
your
I think would be
kids.
different to testosterone. Like energy levels would deplete because you're putting everything into the kids.
Hmm.
But
I think
I wouldn't want to, let me rephrase it. I wouldn't want to not spend time with my kids
Of course.
in order to
Yeah.
think that it was great for my testosterone and think that I was becoming a great, prosperous, virtuous man.
Yeah.
By telling my family to get stuffed. I think that there's a loophole somewhere in there. Listeners, please help us find it.
Well-
How does a man?
Let me rephrase.
Okay.
So if you know that spending the time with your kids is going to increase your estrogen levels, which as you age as men is like that is one of the beauties of aging as men. As your testosterone levels like come down.
Right, what do you do to balance that out and offset it?
But your emotional capacity actually increases, and this is just men's hormones. This is nothing like I'm not saying you in particular, but like what the information that I have seen is that as your testosterone decreases, your ability to emotionally handle situations increases because you will get a little rise in estrogen. But being around kids, and this is for everyone, when you are in that caregiver position, it's going to increase your estrogen, which for us is amazing. Like for women, like that's why women seek circles. Dude, come on.
Dude. That's why women are emotionally better to shut the fuck up. I'm doing a fucking podcast, you little shit.
Feeling topped up?
Oh,
Can
that's
we?
great.
I'm feeling so chopped up as my tits get lower and lower trying to feed this girl to sleep.
You guys are amazing.
Can you go to sleep?
Men couldn't do that. There's no way.
No.
Keep the focus.
No, not at all.
I feel as I'm getting older, when I was younger, I was emotionally like an open book.
Yeah.
Like if they were like, cry on this line, I'd be like, like so accessible emotionally in my early 20s. And now, if someone was to say, cry on this line, I'd be like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
I ain't crying. I ain't being angry either. I'm just going to stand here and say my line. The book is closing. So maybe there's something about that.
Maybe you can't look at it from an like that artistic standpoint.
Or the bitterness standpoint.
yeah.
Maybe I'm just bitter and I don't really show anyone anything anymore.
No, but maybe but also your testosterone levels maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but like that's so
35.
where my point
Maybe it's on the way down.
my
Plane's
point,
crashing.
right? My point is though that if you know that being with your kids is actually going to fatigue you more than your partner being with your kids, then you can offset that by being like, okay, I'm actually going to, if I'm taking the kids for the day or for a few hours or whatever it is, and the younger kids are going to trigger this more in you.
Right.
Then I need to offset that with some serious man cave.
Right.
caveman
Go for a
time
surf in the
or-
morning or train or whatever it is.
So, or like I need to just go and
Tap
have
out.
a big win like professionally, because that will, boost my testosterone.
Gotcha.
And that will like help balance moods. That's more of like the Venus and Mars stuff.
Yeah.
From
makes
John
sense.
Gray. But
That makes total sense.
oh my God, I'm losing my line of thought because have a ugly baby.
Just give them to the countless babysitters that we have over in the lounge room. There are none.
Maybe we should talk about then a couple of people, and I think this is a really common, people ask it a lot because it's probably a really common problem people have.
I might.
Do you want to just pause for a sec?
Can we pause for a sec? So we've taken the opportunity for this little break in the chat to cut here. The rest of our episode will be released next week. It's so full of glorious information, and I do know we've left you all on a cliffhanger. So thanks for sticking around, and get really excited for next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Road to Wisdom podcast. To join the journey, you can follow us on Instagram at theroadtowisdom.podcast and at www.theroadtowisdompodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. We look forward to seeing you next week with more juicy content.